Ah, the holidays. A time for giving, a time for getting, and a time for going and going.
And going, and going, and going, and going.
When you need a break,
Hello?
we're here, helping you make sense of all the good and the going of the holidays. Happy holidays from all of us at ubnradio.com.
Hi, and welcome to The Psychic and the Trainer, where we seek to find balance for both the pet and the pet parent. My name is Miriam, and I am a psychic to both people and pets.
And I'm Cora. I am a trainer to both dogs and their owners.
So today I'm going to speak again with Jim, who has a deafblind puppy, just like my Daisy.
Yeah.
And we got to speak with him briefly in our last episode, but we wanted to reconnect because there's obviously so much to talk about, and we didn't have a lot of time. So we're going to try again tonight. And I think we might be ready. Let's check in and see if he's on the line. He is. Jim.
I am.
Hi, Jim.
How are you?
Hello. I am good. I hope you all are doing great and you had a good Thanksgiving weekend.
Oh, thanks. You too.
Yeah, we did. And we're glad that you're back so we can kind of relax and talk a little bit more about Ariel, because I know both Cora and I have a lot to say. So
Sure.
the question last week was about the fits she was having. Is there anything new that you wanted to bring to the table, or did you want to just stay focused on that?
Well, the fits are probably, the tantrums are kind of the main thing, but which I'm from what I've researched, typical of a dog that's born blind and deaf, they spin. And obviously with her it's very obsessive. And is that something that I should be concerned about? Currently, I am not. I allow her. She seems to be in a happy place when she's doing it. It's kind of like sucking her thumb. But she likes to spin.
Yeah.
And so,
Okay. So I'll look at that first, and what I'll do is kind of bounce back and forth a little bit and give you my intuitive response, but then also give you my personal experience, and then Cora will give us the truth. But I know my Daisy's 7 years old, and when we got her, she was 3 months old, and she spun like crazy when she was younger, and she's definitely grown out of that a lot. But let me look at Ariel again. She's so sweet. I felt like we have Arminus, Leo, and Jake as well, correct?
That's right.
Okay. And Leo and Jake are the Great Danes?
The two Great Danes, and Arminius is the German Shepherd.
Okay, Arminius. I want to step in really quick. Arminius is worried as well about Ariel. Arminius is he male or female? Male?
Male. Yes.
Male. He's a worrier. And so he definitely worries about Ariel because her behavior isn't to him typical. And so it's important that you kind of check in with him and remind him that it's okay and that Ariel really is okay. She's got a very strong personality. She's very much wants to be the domain of her territory, but also is very respectful to the three other dogs. She doesn't want to dominate to push them out. She wants to dominate because it's fun for her, and that's where she feels in control. And I know a lot of people tend to say, oh, when you tell them, your dog is blind and deaf, what they do with Daisy. But as I'm reading Ariel, I just don't feel sadness from her. I feel a joy, and I feel a comfort, and a similar to, honestly, Daisy, where there was this joy for life that I have never experienced in other animals. Which I find fascinating because we immediately believe or think that there's something wrong and they don't enjoy life as much. They have different experiences, yes, and some experiences are more difficult. And but that being said, Leo is such an old soul and very confident in that he can manage Ariel. And Jake just kind of goes with the flow and is, looking to you to manage Ariel in this situation, which it feels like you do very well. I feel like, these animals are an extension of you and definitely emulate different parts of your personality. And I feel like Ariel in particular is going to bring you some really interesting life experiences that are going to pave the way for you taking a different path in your life. And that's not something I can necessarily spell out right now, other than I'm just seeing and feeling that she's going to open up doors for you, and your life is going to take a turn for the better. You're going to find things that you never would have found had you not rescued her. And that comes around maybe 5 years old. 3 to 5 years old is where you'll start to see a shift in your life. Where you start to take a different path. But overall, I don't feel with Ariel that there is anything quote unquote wrong. So I'm not feeling the spinning is coming from something unnatural or harmful or anything like that. Cora will obviously be able to direct you on how to manage it, but I don't feel like there's anything wrong. She definitely is nervous. And that definitely calms her. Like you said it, you're so intuitive where you said it's like sucking her thumb, because that is what I'm feeling as well from her. The only thing I want to mention, how old is Leo?
Leo is 3.5.
Leo is really wise beyond his years.
He does seem that way.
He does. Okay. And I want you to just kind of keep an eye on Leo. And I'm not sure why I'm saying that. I think it's I don't know if it's health. Maybe I'm feeling it's health. Just keep an eye on him. It's not serious, but I want you to just, make sure you bring him for checkups. You might bring him more often than the others.
Okay.
Just to keep kind of, just that's, I wish I could give you more clarity,
A good,
but
healthy
that's just what I'm
tabs
feeling
on
right
him.
now. I'm sorry, what?
A good, healthy tabs on him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like what they're saying is I keep saying he's an old soul. But that's also equating into his body. It feels physically older than 3.
Older.
Yeah. And again, it's nothing serious, but just keep an eye on that. So anyway, and then as far as the fits go that you were saying, were happening, but are definitely less. It's important. She's saying she's telling me she really wants you to set. It's like she's showing me like fencing her in. Like she wants to be able to bump up against something, not necessarily physically, but I feel like it's more emotionally. Like she wants boundaries is what she's saying.
Got it.
That's where she's going to feel safe. Also the, because it doesn't feel physical, because she physically will bump into things to map out her surroundings. But this feels like she's saying, I really need you to bring in the boundaries even closer than you would for the average dog.
Okay.
But other than that, she feels really confident with the your ability to communicate with her. She feels like you hear her loud and clear. And she doesn't see any issue, really. She's actually perfectly happy. So I'll pass off to Cora.
Well, that's nice to hear.
Yeah, that's.
I do feel I'm a little intuitive, but I have directed my energies towards her and my dogs, especially in light of her challenges, knowing I need to take extra time, care, patience, persistence, the whole thing for her to make sure that she's getting the quality of life that I want for her, that she should expect and demand.
Right. Well, you're doing a good job.
Yeah, that's great. You have a big heart. That's really great. So yeah, as far as her orienting in your environment there, the biggest thing is just to make sure that you're not changing things, that the furniture stays the same and there's a lot of consistency with her surroundings. But have you heard of the scent markers that you can put out for dogs? They're called trackers. Have you heard of those?
I have not, and I've not seen those when I've been doing any online searches.
Oh. Okay, so
I never found those either.
Yeah, look up. They're called trackers, and they help dogs that are deaf and blind, particularly blind in this situation, to orient their surroundings by using their sense of smell.
Wow.
Because that's going to be their strongest scent.
Right.
So, yeah, look up trackers, and it'll come with instructions and everything like that, so I don't have to go into all of that. but that can help her, as well as having, a seeing eye dog of her own, which you have a few of. My question is about the little spinning and the fits and tantrums that she has. What are the other dogs doing when she does that?
Well, Jake and Leo, the two Great Danes, they will have their nose right in her, and sometimes she'll be on the couch and doing it, and they're unfazed, and I really like that about them, that they are not getting stressed out over it, and they're just kind of like, hey, what's up? Arminius just kind of steps back. He I think feels her stress or anxiety or energy, and he kind of pulls back away from that. And when she spins around him, he kind of gets up and removes himself, whereas the other two will just sit there and let her spin, sniff them, and then maybe start playing with them.
Okay. And how long do they last for, these spinning sessions?
Well, the spinning is on and off, and that's kind of a continual thing, but then she'll sit down and, she maneuvers through the house really, really well, and is now coming from the outside up onto the steps really, really well into the house. But I would say the spinning lasts maybe a minute or two, and then she maybe calms down, or I should say slows down, but then she starts up again. And as I said, I think it's kind of a compulsive, condition that she's just comfortable with. So when in doubt, spin, But her fits can last anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes, where she seems to be physically agitated and is inconsolable. And it just kind of has to work itself out of the system, kind of like a little kid throwing a tantrum.
Right, yeah. And with the fits that she's doing, is she vocalizing during that time?
She is. Yes, she is.
Okay, can you describe what's happening exactly?
It seems like, it almost seems like something triggers her. We will be laying down in bed, and all of a sudden and then she starts barking and getting agitated and starts spinning. And sometimes she's not spinning, but most of the time she is. And she's barking, and it seems to be that there's a focus somewhere.
Okay.
But I can't tell, and neither can the other dogs.
Right. And that's what we kind of talked about a few weeks ago, is she's going to be so in tune to different scent changes and different energies that it's something that we're not even aware of, and maybe the other dogs aren't aware of. And for her to get distracted and reorient on something can be a little difficult for her, but she probably will grow out of that a bit if it doesn't become a habit. So redirecting.
Well, it has diminished in the now 3 months almost that I've had her. It has diminished over 50 to 60, 70, 80%.
Okay.
They've been reduced.
Okay, that's really good. The biggest thing, and the more that you get to know her and the more that she grows, is finding out a way to redirect her. Something as far as like a treat or something, a special toy that you can redirect her to, so that she doesn't stay fixated on whatever it was that triggered her. And if you can find something to redirect her to, you can try doing that every time it happens. And that way it doesn't become a habit as she's growing, because she's still young and she's an adolescent right now. So she's going to be doing a lot of weird things anyway. So it's really important that these odd behaviors don't become habit as she gets older. Yeah. Just like with any dog. So it's just really important with her, because that spinning and all those things, that's just going to be her go-to response, because she's not going to have anything else that she can think to do. So it's up to you to kind of find out what she likes, what she doesn't like, and what you can use to redirect her.
And when I try a toy or a stuffed animal, one of her favorites or whatever, it seems to distract her momentarily, but it's just momentarily. So I think that I'm on the right path with what you've said to kind of be maybe consistent with having something that we can use to either distract her or to, pull her out of that.
Yeah, and you may need to get creative with it and switch it up, because she may get bored of one thing or have to switch to another thing. So it's just, you're going to be learning so much from each other as she gets older too. But as far as the other dogs go, are you having any other issues with them, with her?
No, really the only thing is Arminius is just a little standoffish. I mean, he'll be laying on the carpet, and as she gets spinning and into him, he just gets up and moves. But other times they'll be sitting next to each other. So I have been extremely fortunate that it has been a seamless transition of bringing her in to the pack of the 3 boys and not really upsetting the apple cart at all.
Oh, good.
But I think, as Miriam said, Arminius does seem to have that, either the worrier or he's more concerned. It's kind of like he always has to be on guard for everything. Everyone else is sleeping, and he's paying attention to what's going on.
Oh, yeah, and that's his job. That's his role. And, he's a German
Right.
Shepherd, so that's his job. That's his role in life. But as far as him worrying and feeling maybe a little bit stressed about it, the biggest thing is that you need to be the one that he can look to when he's unsure about something. And that's a lot about your relationship with him, about just being that rock and being really stable for him. And, maybe even redirecting his energy. If he seems nervous about something, redirect him to something. Maybe give him a command to do so you can praise him for that, so that he just doesn't stay fixated on that worry.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like you have your house is old. Was it built a long time ago? Do you know?
Well, it's 70 years old.
Okay, because I feel like your house is old and it has like older energy in it, but I don't feel like there's any presence in there that could definitely cause her to be reacting. I feel like so just to weed that out. But as Cora was talking, I do keep feeling her saying more, kind of going back to what I was saying about that the boundaries moving in closer. And I know that I don't know. Cora would know better than me, but I know with Daisy, we created her up till like 3 years old at night to set the boundary with her. And I'm not saying that she necessarily liked it. And she definitely went to the bathroom in the crate a lot. But it's set, she like every day, same time she went in the crate. So like her boundaries were so clear. And the crate was like what they say it is, right? It really did help like rein in the energy. So when she would smell, probably when she would smell things from farther away that other dogs don't smell or whatever, I don't know how you explain it, but my sense is she feels a safety and doesn't feel the need to act out in the crate.
Right. Well, when dogs are confined, and this is really helpful in the car too, when dogs are confined, they don't have any other option to let that energy spin out of control. So it limits their options, but in a good way. Yeah. As long as it's conditioned in a really positive way, them going into the crate, then it can be her safe zone, her den, to where she can trust that nothing's going to happen to her there.
And it is, she spends 8-9 hours a day while I'm at work in the crate, and she goes to it after we've done our morning routine. We're out twice, and she goes straight then back into the crate because she's waiting for a treat, and then she is there, and she goes in there. I keep the gate open, the door open for her, and she goes in and out of there throughout the afternoon, evening when I'm home.
Oh, good. That's great.
And I like that. It's her safety net. It's her home, and I didn't want it to be a timeout or have her think that it was, I'm in trouble. I get, banished to the crate. It's she likes it.
Yeah, that's great. Then it sounds like it's like I said earlier. What she was saying is a more of an energetic boundary instead of a physical. That for her that she wants set, and so since I'm not feeling anything in the house, I feel like what Cora said too, that she's just she smells things that the other dogs don't smell. And so she's I don't know how to explain it other than she's just hypersensitive. So she feels things we don't, and that's why I was asking if the house was old, because it's possible that she is feeling things like even if it's just the house settling and doing strange things. It's fascinating because Daisy, whenever we have earthquakes, people always say, "Oh, Daisy must have warned you. She must feel it." She sleeps through earthquakes, never has woken up. And the only thing that I have come up with, and Cora might disagree, but I thought, I wonder if it's because she's always feeling the house settle, people walk by.
Different vibration. She's probably just gotten a little desensitized to. Yeah. But she's older now, too. So she's learned that they're not a threat. Because now everything is new when she's young. And like we talked about the last time, was the association with different scents and different feelings, different energies, and if something potentially scary happened during that time, then she's going to be much more reactive. Or if something really exciting and fun happened when she smelled that or something, she's going to get excited too. So it's all about her association with something.
Yeah, you said something 2 weeks ago also, which really hit home about her growing into her senses. So she's learning, as I am, how to deal with some of the things that she's encountering. And I think that really hit home with me 2 weeks ago, that it's okay if she's having some of these, I'll say, panic attacks or whatever they are, because she's learning to deal with what she's encountering that I don't have a clue what they are yet.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, definitely.
So,
And, the other dogs are going to sense, too, if something's really wrong with her, because you've seen now how they're responding now where they're not that concerned about it. But if something was actually really irritating to her, she was really upset, then they would alert you about that, too, most likely.
yeah.
Well,
Great.
good. I'm glad we finally had the chance to
Yeah.
talk it all out. I hope that helps.
Immeasurably. Let me just tell you, yes. And you've been spot on with the 3 dogs, I think, with what their kind of roles are, and certainly how Jake takes my lead, and how Leo really does seem to have an old soul. The way he embraced Ariel when she first came in was just phenomenal. And I was like, that boy is wiser than his years.
Oh,
that's great.
So I really appreciate this. This is a lot of insight, a lot of information. The scent trackers are going to be another thing I'm going to be looking into. And we're on the right path.
great.
Yeah.
Well, we'll check in a few months just to see how Ariel's doing, just because she's so freaking cute.
Yeah, and you can
Certainly,
contact us
definitely.
anytime with any questions as well.
Okay. I appreciate that. Honestly, both your expertise are phenomenal, and I love the way you guys complement each other with the information that you're giving out.
Thank you.
So thank you. Listen, y'all have a great night.
You
Bye,
too.
thanks.
Okay, bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye now.
We should just keep him on the line complimenting us.
I know, I like that.
So how interesting have you ever worked with deafblind before?
Yes, but not born from deafblind. So it's a little bit different because they don't know anything different. So like you said, they're not mourning something. They just don't know that there's something else.
Right.
And so she doesn't know that there's something different about her.
Right.
She's only going to know about how people and other animals treat her.
Right.
And so, about his other dog being a little bit nervous about her, a little unsure, that's normal too, because she operates differently. So, just like what you experienced with Daisy, I'm sure some dogs are a little bit like, whoa, you're a little bit different. But when she's so confident now that she's pretty much grown into herself and is really comfortable being around the other dogs in other situations now. And she's the happiest dog too.
I know. I think though it seems like Ariel found James a lot earlier than we found Daisy, because Daisy had already gone through so many homes, so we were dealing with all of that. And then when she was in the homes, they weren't aware that she was deaf, and so they didn't know, and so there was a lot of conflict there. And then she went into homes where dogs were beating up on her. So I think we were working through a lot of things, and she never really acclimated to other dogs. So there was always dogs just don't understand her. It's very rare. There's been only in the 7 years, there's been maybe 2 dogs that were really big breeds that were very gentle, that kind of stepped back, besides of course Olivia, and just allowed her to be. Other than that, they tried to fight her. And so
I mean, nature can be cruel.
I know. And as her mom, it was just like, I turn into, I'm like, stop being mean to my dog. Like, it's just heartbreaking.
It is, yeah. But dogs, it does take a special dog to understand that, and it takes more of a dog to be in a home with another dog in a pack to be more protective and understand them, rather than just a dog on the street that encounters her. They're going to pick up on there's something different. And unfortunately, in nature, it is a little bit cruel, and in packs of animals, if one is weak, then they treat him accordingly.
And we got so lucky, same with James, where Olivia stepped in and she knew how to. But she had shown that protection before with Louie, our 3-legged cat, where she would look out for Louie from the other cats. So we knew she had that in her. But you never really know, how they're going to respond.
Yeah.
But she's always been very protective of Daisy, and gets in the middle if a dog barks at her. It's so. It just breaks my heart. It's so sweet.
Yeah, and it's so important that dogs have our guidance to look to us. Okay, how are we going to handle this situation? This is a little bit different. I'm not used to it, but how do you want me to react? Are we cool with this? Okay, I'll be fine.
I think that's one of the main reasons, too, why I realized before we had met how imperative it was that I did not deal with my cell phone or even walk with anyone else when I walked them, because there was so much I had to manage. And it was like I didn't realize my responsibility with Olivia, like you just said, never mind the responsibility with Daisy.
Yeah. And they know when we're not fully in tune with them. That's why it is so important to, when you're walking with them, to let them know that you have control of the situation, that you're not distracted looking at your phone. And especially if it's a dog that is a little bit unsure about things, they need to know that you have everything under control.
Right. That's so interesting. It makes so much sense now. Okay, so I know we have Chris that's going to be calling in just a minute. But did we want to talk a little bit about Paradise Ranch first?
Yeah, Paradise Ranch we're very lucky to have as our sponsor. And Paradise Ranch is a luxury boarding facility located in Sun Valley, which is only about 10 minutes north of Burbank. Most people are like, where the heck is that? But it's a beautiful location that has many different services, but they primarily focus on the boarding and daycare, which they provide a different type of experience for dogs. They focus mostly on enrichment with their environment outside. So it's not just in a warehouse facility. They're actually on a property with homes, real homes, no cages, and amazing water facilities. And you took Daisy there, and they got in the water, didn't they?
Yeah, it was really fun. But now here's a question. You guys have trainers there, right? Because you were there at one point. So they have dog trainers in the facility?
Yeah, they actually have trainers on site to deal with any kind of issues that are coming up. They also have people that are 24 hours that stay in the houses with the dogs.
That's great.
Yeah, it's actually a really amazing place. So if you guys want to check it out, just to look at their website, which is amazing too, to check out the facility, it's paradiseranch.net.
Yeah, their rooms are beautiful for the dogs. It's really neat. So next up is we're going to be talking with Chris and Abby, a totally different situation, not a special needs dog, but it's interesting because I feel like you would think we would get calls all the time about special needs and how to manage them, but all of our calls are about typical dogs. And it's like, it's so funny because I think your pet can see and can hear. Like, how are you having issues with your pet? But apparently it happens all the time. So
that's what keeps me in business.
Right? Okay, so Chris, is he here?
Yes, I am.
Hi.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
Okay, so you have...
hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving.
We did,
Thank
thanks. So you have Abby.
Yes.
And your question with Abby was about separation, correct?
Yeah, she sort of brought on some separation anxiety since she was a puppy. We, I don't know, I might be a little guilty of it. We had her since she was about 2 months old.
Okay.
And she was always around somebody.
Okay. Don't give me too much info yet. We'll wait till you get to Cora. Because sometimes it's harder for me to read with too much information. So I know she's 8 months old, and you've had her since she was a baby. She's having separation. Okay, hang on one sec. Let me just look at her picture for a minute and see what she has to say. She has, sometimes the easiest way to describe dogs is like putting them in, if they were a human. Like she's a bleeding heart. So she's the type that if she was a human, she would sympathize and feel sorry for everybody, would be helping, every homeless person on the street. And she just loves really deep, and she loves to be loved, but she loves really deep, and she really loves being around people. And that is, I feel like, something she was born with. It's not every dog is born with that. Some dogs are very independent, from my experience. But her personality trait is, I love people. I love being around people. I love helping people. This might sound bad, but it's like, if you're homesick, she loves it because she's going to make you feel better, and she's going to hang with you the whole time, and she's going to be right there when you need her. That's her.
Yeah.
That's her personality trait. But with that comes some, now I understand why she has separation for sure. I might pass you off really quick to Cora because I feel like that's kind of the bulk of it right now. But let me just check one more time, see if she has anything else to say. I can't get past her. She's so sweet, but she's also like, she's kind of a martyr too. Like, she's probably spoiled rotten, but has this,
Oh yeah.
poor
Oh
me.
yeah.
Like, sometimes I'm home like for 2 or 3 hours alone, like kind of a martyr where you're like, all right, come on.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
plays
She
that
has a
up a
good
little
skill
bit.
for sure.
Um, but I feel like, you sent me the pictures of your roommates who live with her. And your roommate's energy is both of their energy is kind of loose. It's not very predictable. It's not really grounded. And so for a dog like her that she's like feeling desperate for someone to, kind of put her in place, your energy is more grounded than the other two. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I have more of a regimented schedule, having a dog and all. And it's not really the same with my roommates. They're working different hours and everything. So I could definitely agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and their personality also doesn't exude dominance, and so which isn't good or bad. I'm just saying in this situation, she's seeking dominance, and neither one of those guys. They're very loving. I mean, they're great. Don't get me wrong. They take wonderful care of her, but they're not the alpha in the house, and that's what I feel like she's looking for. She's seeking for someone to. It's funny because she actually, like, some dogs say to me, I need the alpha, I need that. And she's like, no, I'll be fine taking over. If you guys want me to take over, I'll take over. But if I take over, I'm going to do it my way. And the way I do it so far, you guys aren't really happy with. But that's the only way I know. So she doesn't have a problem.
Yeah, you're kind of spot on with that. I mean, I can definitely see that because, we don't really have like an alpha. We are kind of hands off with her. We don't try and discipline her too much, trying to avoid that. I mean, we do discipline her if we need to. I mean, we don't hit her or, anything like that. So, I mean, she does try and test us. She's a lot, she's still a puppy and everything. So she's still learning. But, yeah, so it's kind of weird because with disciplining her because, I'm new with my roommates, so they don't want to discipline her. So she comes to me, but, at times I'm not around, so they do have to do some part. So I could see where she's a little confused at where the alpha is and, the apartment. So I think you're pretty spot on with that. That sounds about right.
Okay.
Actually.
And I'm also feeling like around 3 years old, if you don't start managing it now, she's going to start to show aggressive tendencies because she's going to get confused. I'm not sure what happens at around 3 years old. There might be a change in lifestyle or maybe you move, but I'm feeling her. Her energy isn't grounded. Like some dogs are, like the dog we read earlier, Leo, was just this really grounded dog where it's like, if he lived in 14 homes in 1 year, he'd manage it and figure it out and be really grounded. Abby is not like that, where she's a little shaky and she needs someone to always create that.
It's funny you say that because she has lived in a lot of different places.
Oh, she has.
She's
okay.
probably lived in maybe 4 different places so far in the 6 months I've had her.
Okay, that's a lot.
So I can see that happening.
Yeah, so that makes sense, and that's why she's telling me. Like it's interesting. What I keep latching onto was her saying. Well, if they want me to lead, I'll lead. And that's making me nervous because she's not saying it in a very healthy way. She's saying it like, I don't mind doing it, but I'm going to do it my way. And that's where she's saying, I'm seeing some aggression a couple years in because she's feeling the need to like carve out her space, and she can't do that, and it's going to start to aggravate her. I think it's really important. She's your dog ultimately, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I think it's really important that, which I think you said you may already be doing this, but I'm feeling like you need to have the roommates be just, icing on the cake, so... And I'm going to give you this advice so I can put it into words, but it's not training advice. Cora's going to step in and do that. I just need to make sense of what I'm hearing and feeling. It's almost as if, she's created the whole time you're not there, and she only comes out when you're there, and if they want to take her out, they can take her out, they can play with her for a little bit, but the rules have to be the same that you've set. Like, she's saying, if you're going to be the one in charge, I need you to be the one in charge all the time, because if not, I'll step in. And that's where it's always going to get kind of strange with you two, because there's going to be a dominance issue, and there doesn't need to be. She really loves you and really wants to be whatever you want her to be. It's just you have to be stronger than her. And I'm sure Cora can jump in and answer that.
You see, I'm just like chomping on the bit over here. I'm like, let me in. You're saying so much stuff that I would say, but what needs to happen, and exactly what you're saying, is that the roommates need to be a little bit more hands-off, because there has to be consistency, especially now that she's young. How old is she right now?
8 months.
8 months. So she's an adolescent. So she's not a puppy anymore. She's a teenager. So she's a teenage girl. So just wait.
Watch out.
Yeah. So she's going to be testing the boundaries. She's going to be seeing what you're going to follow through on and what you're going to be consistent with. And if you're not, like you're saying, like you're very hands off and you kind of let her do what she wants to do, but she's a dog and she's going to make decisions based on what her instincts are telling her to do. And, especially if Miriam's picking up on something that she may have aggressive tendencies around 3, that's another age transition that she's going to go through. So she's an adolescent right now, and she will be until she's about 2.5. Then she'll become an adult. And that's when you normally see a change in dogs, that dogs that were normally very friendly and welcoming to strangers or very happy-go-lucky with other dogs, but all of a sudden they start getting a little bit more territorial. They may start testing other dogs a little bit more, and that's when you're going to see it, is around that 2.5, 3 years of age. So if the rules are not in place now, then it is going to get out of control later. So she's testing things now. She's just seeing what the reaction's going to be. But then if she doesn't have those rules and boundaries and consistency now, it will be a problem later on. So as far as the roommates go, is she just kind of loose throughout the house during the day?
Yeah. I mean, if I'm gone and my roommate's around, they'll have her out in the house. But if no one's around, we keep her in the crate.
Okay, so she is crate trained.
Yeah.
Does she?
But she has problems with the crate still. Okay. My other dog, she just goes right to sleep when we put her in the crate and come back and everything's fine. But Abby, she whines like excessively for about like 5 to 10 minutes or so. I've actually, recorded the room to see how long she goes for. She'll go for about 5 to 10 minutes. And when I leave and when I come back, it's like, around her, like under her neck fur and like near her legs and stuff. It's all wet, like she's been, drooling. And she's like panting and drooling. And that's like the separation stuff I've seen online. That those like indications for that. And I'm just having trouble breaking her separation anxiety, because I've done it to where, she gets rewarded for going in the crate, and we give her a bone, and we have her like a toy that we only give her in the crate and not outside the crate. And I mean, we've tried a bunch of different stuff, but nothing has really worked just yet.
Separation anxiety is tricky because a few shows back we talked about it, and there's not one formula that works for every single dog. You just have to find out what's going to work for your dog. But the biggest thing is just getting her used to being left alone for short increments of time and really wearing her out mentally and physically. So lots and lots of exercise, but in a constructive way. And so not getting the adrenaline pumping, so not hard playing, not really running, but maybe hiking with a backpack on, going for long walks, but incorporating obedience training into it so that she is going to be challenged more mentally. So teaching her obedience is not just so that she can be a little robot, but it's more so that she's challenged and she's actually having to think, and it also is going to help her be more responsive to you in general. So so does she have any obedience training?
She'll stay, and I mean, if I say leave it, she won't go into stuff, maybe like 80% of the time. So we're working on that still. But she does sit and down and just the basic command, but I mean, she she does like to test me from time to time still.
Yeah, she's like we said, a teenage girl. They will test.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, obedience training is very important, and you're going to be using it as tools to work with her as she grows as well, to work on behavioral issues. But as far as the separation anxiety goes, is there consistency to the schedule at all?
No, not really. There was for a little bit, but not really much anymore. My work schedule is very flexible and always changing, so not recently, no.
Okay. So consistency is nice. If it's not possible, though, it's really important to be consistent with at least the rules around the house. And it's really important to work on her being either crated or left alone in a certain area when you're at home as well. So it's not just the association of going in the crate and you're leaving her, because that's going to be a negative one.
Okay.
Putting her in a crate when you're right there next to her, watching TV, giving her like raw frozen marrow bones are really good, something that is really high value that she only gets when she goes in there. And but doing that for just short periods of time, tossing treats in the crate, not even closing the door, but just going in and putting a word to it, like kennel up. She goes in, gets a treat, she gets to come out, and doing that throughout the day. But as far as her being so stressed out that she's really panting heavily, she's soaked when you come back, is that every day?
That's most times, yeah.
Okay.
It depends. I mean, if I'm gone for longer periods of time, it's worse. But I mean, if it's a short trip, it's not as bad. But most times, yeah, she's usually a little wet from drooling.
Okay. How much exercise is she getting right now?
She gets a lot of exercise. She's walked she goes on probably 1 to 2 long walks a day, and she goes to the dog park maybe 3 to 5 times a week.
Okay.
So I make sure, I try and get her a lot of exercise at the dog park a lot. She just runs around. But, yeah, I mean, I would say she gets a fair amount of exercise.
Okay. So the dog park, she's not really having to think a whole lot when she's there. It's more based off instinct. So what we really want to do is get her thinking more. So even on her walks, like I said, challenging her a little bit more to be in a heel position, right turns, left turns, speeding up, slowing down, stopping, getting her to stop and sit and look at you, just challenging her a little bit more, practicing a downstay while outside, walking to the end of the leash, walking around her, doing more stuff like that will help wear her out. And but as far as just leaving her when you have to go to work, you want to make sure that you're desensitizing her to triggers. So triggers can be different for every dog, but it could be picking up your keys, putting your shoes on.
Yeah, that's a big one for her, is the keys.
Yeah. So just around the house when she's there, just picking up your keys randomly and setting them down and nothing happening. And that's going to be a way to desensitize her to that. And try to think of any other triggers too that she might have. Some people, it's like putting perfume or cologne on, even because they know, this means that they're going out. Because they know the difference between even like your walking shoes that she gets to go on a walk with you, or like work shoes. They're very smart. And so you really want to be aware of what her triggers are and work on desensitizing her. So it just means taking it out and nothing happening. Don't even look at her. Just take your keys, jingle them a little bit, move them around, and just kind of hold them and then put them in different areas too.
Okay, yeah, that's a great idea. Never thought about that. I don't know why, but that's a great idea.
It sounds like I think you're in LA, right, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah, you should. It sounds like you should get with Cora, and she should work with you a little bit more. Poor thing. I mean, she's having such separation anxiety. Maybe, implementing what we gave you tonight, but then meeting with Cora a couple times might help immensely.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I would be interested in. I haven't been able to. I've been, I just recently graduated, and I've been moving all around the country, and I haven't been able to get a scheduled training, implemented schedule for her. So, I mean, I would love to take some time and meet up and talk some more about that. That'd be great.
Yeah, the best way for me to do it is to come to your house and have your roommates there too, so everybody can be on the same page, which is really important when living in a multi-person household. And coming up with some sort of a schedule and routine so that everybody knows how to interact with her.
So I'll get you, Chris, I'm going to pass your information off to Cora as soon as we're done, and you guys can connect after. But Abby is so sweet, and thank you for taking her on, because she sounds like she's a little bit of a handful, but so worth it because she's such a sweet little girl. So good luck with her.
She is. Thank you so much, and thank you for all your help. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, of
And
course.
thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll talk soon.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I hope you can help. I
I
mean,
can always
know,
help.
I know. I'm the sympathetic heart, so I immediately start. You're like, it's fine. I see this
Yeah.
all the time, and I'm like, oh my
Not a
God,
big
poor
deal.
Abby.
She's a teenager. If we
Well,
fix
good.
it now, she'll be set.
Yeah. Well, before we go, I wanted to share with you guys, we have a dog up for adoption with Vafa Animal Shelter. Vafa Animal Shelter supports animals in Iran. And Hermes is looking for a home, and he's so sweet and so loving. He's 7 years old. He's just a wonderful dog. He's a great family dog. So even though he does better with older kids, we can give you the whole breakdown in his bio after the show. But feel free to contact me at whataboutdaisy.com. That's whataboutdaisy.com. And if you're interested in Hermes, please let me know. He's just a great guy. Came from Iran, so he's a little special and very unique.
Good. So if anybody has any training questions, they can contact me on my Facebook page, which is just Prestigious Pooch, or you can contact me on my website, which is prestigiouspooch.com. But remember, before we sign off, to stay present with your dog. Remember putting your phone down when you're walking them,
Yes.
which is really important. You started doing that, and you noticed a big difference.
Huge difference, yes.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
Ah, the holidays. A time for giving, a time for getting, and a time for going and going.
And going, and going, and going, and going.
When you need a break, we're here, helping you make sense of all the good and the going of the holidays. Happy holidays from all of us at UBN Radio